Good evening, everyone. I
Good
hope you
evening.
all had a wonderful time, and today we are here back again. Very happy and pleased to be here among you guys. So, tonight we have our friends Pablo and Faye with us.
Hello.
So,
Good
before
evening.
we start,
Hello.
right, what we're gonna do normally is to mention about where we're from. We are from SSL, that is Spiritist Society of London, that we are also connected today through Kardec Radio. That is an institution who gives support to a lot of spiritist centers. And we are pleased to be here once again, bringing the knowledge or the little we know about this wonderful subject that is mediumship. And tonight we're going to be talking about future and mediumship. So, how are you today, Pablo?
I'm all right. And I'm pleased to be here. So thank you for having me again. Let's have a nice talk.
Indeed. So, what about you, Faye? You all right?
Yes, very well, fine. Thank you. And like Pablo, very pleased to be here. Happy to
Very
be in
good,
the
very good.
company.
Today we are missing our friend Rafael,
Yeah.
but he will be with us again in the next event. So we were having a conversation about the topic for today,
Mm.
right? But before we go there, let me apologize because I'm not able to prepare all the setup as used to. I am in a different country in a hotel, so things are not ideal. It's not an ideal setup, but here we are anyway, right? And talking about the subject we chose today,
Yeah.
it is something that deep in my heart, I think we need to consider the future, right?
Mm.
And first, I will start making some questions to both of you. Today is my day to make questions.
Mm.
And I would like to know
Isn't
your
it
thoughts.
every day your days to make questions?
You wait.
Yes, yes. I'm here to make questions today. Uh,
Mm.
let me start with Faye. Faye,
Yes.
for you, how do you see mediumship today? What is mediumship today for you?
Only easy questions. What now, as I see it today, is I see it as a blessing. I see it, understand it as not only part of who I am, organically, biologically, that's who I am. But there's more than that. It's something that um, it depends on also of my willingness to make it present and to make it productive and rich. So
Mhm.
it is a means to achieve um, lots of insights and lots of contact with people, to refine perception, um, that I'm not sure I would achieve otherwise. And there's loads of work, lots of things um, that are closely connected to this exercise, I'd say.
Yes, they are. They are wonderful, but they are a bit of work to be done as well, isn't it?
Oh, always, yes.
And you, Pablo, what is the mediumship for you today?
Well, uh, after I started studying Spiritism, it is like the curtain was put away to better understand the meaning of having mediumship in the world and in people's lives. Um, I think that mediumship is a tool for people to be able to communicate. Of course, that's uh, the means that you have to go back and forth in the spiritual world and our world here. But I think most of all, it's a tool that means help. So help for people who need and seek aid and help for the medium, him or herself, to be able to perform his duty. Since mediumship is a gift, and and you have to perform your duty since you have it with you.
That's very good. That's very good. I need to tell you something. Raphael is not here today, but he's spying on us because he sent a message. You see? Click one. But I'm too old to understand what he said. It's hashtag FOMO. So I rather believe that's something positive for us, right?
I hope so.
Me too. I don't know what it means. I'm too old. And we also have Ebony, Marco, Amarilis. Appreciate you guys being watching us. And please feel free to make questions at any time, and we'll do our best to try to answer. All right? So yes, you guys are spot on what is mediumship today. But wasn't always like that, isn't it? There was a time where mediumship was way more complicated. Am I right to say that when Kardec started to compile all this knowledge, the Spiritism, right, was way more difficult than it is today? Do you agree with that?
I can only think that it's true because all of the mysticism and people that would say that was an act, or people trying to make money, as there were people, and there always are people that try to bring the occult to make money out of this, or it's just a con, someone faking it, and when you go, I think way back, you have the witches and all of that as points of negativity towards the communication with the spirits.
Mm-hmm. And you, Faye, what's your take?
Well, honestly, I think it, in principle, it was quite simple and straightforward. Right, as part of a human nature, as spirits, incarnated spirits, mediumship itself was part of it, part of life. It was present until throughout history, especially more recent history, let's say, I don't know, past 500, 600, 700 years maybe, things started to complicate because of the dispute of hegemony between different groups. When the contact with the powers of nature, with the deities that people have, which was their way to revere their origin, to revere the Celestial Father, to revere where their ancestors and where they came from. So this idea of ancestry, of being in the present but having had a past outside, I think was present in most of tribal life constitution and tribal life. But as there was this impulse to dominate the so-called illiterate or primitive cultures, which they were not, but it's just one way of seeing them. Things became more complicated as one group decided that their truth was the truth and nothing else mattered. And when Kardec was decided to run his research and do his fabulous work, just like with other friends, a little before him and around and after him, under this sort of banner of oppressive insistence of my truth is the best, So, and what his work shows is that, in fact, the truth is one, without any of the earth and the social and political biases that made things very complicated indeed. Sorry.
I need to tell you something.
Yeah, go
Our
ahead.
friend Ebony from the Caribbean, she is kind of picking up my brain waves because her comments are pretty much in line with what I want to. So very shortly, I will speak about that very soon. So, and yeah, I think you both are right? But there is more than that. There is more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all agree that mediumship is something natural, right? And since we understand us as a human beings, we have evolved quite a lot, isn't it?
Hopefully.
We are better now than we used to be when we were in the caves, right?
Yeah.
So we are a bit better, not a lot, but a bit better. And I think mediumship always been among us. And as we have progressed, probably mediumship did the same. Let me go to Ebony now. I want to share with you all what she's writing.
Yeah.
I think as mediumship becomes more mainstream and not seen through, let me show here so you can see as well. I think as mediumship becomes more mainstream and not seen through the arrows of superstition, we will have lots of scientific breakthroughs being made here on Earth. She's really thinking about the future, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of can say even about the present, because there is quite a lot of good people, quite a good number of people trying to do that, what she's mentioned here. But she also said something that I really like very much. Mediumship will evolve more and more and become more accepted as mankind searches for answers to perplexing problems we face. Yes.
Bravo.
Yes, I like that. And we had a study the other day where we were talking about the turning tables, the dancing tables, as some people say. Well, we have progressed from that time. Imagine if we were together today in a meeting where we would be waiting for that table to turn. We would be waiting for that table to make a noise. Duck, duck, duck. Oh, A, duck, 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 duck. C. Knowing myself, I would be bored to death because I would not be able to be in a meeting taking note of every single rap. This is A, this is C, this is D, or whatever. It would be very painful for me nowadays, right? Imagine for the kids, for the young kids that are used to TikTok, that everything is in a couple of minutes and then you can travel around the world seeing different things. Do you think they would be there? I don't think so. So, but going back to the turning tables, they have evolved from the wraps, from the turntables, the baskets. There was a big change already. Oh, before that, the small tables. Instead of having the large tables, they built up a small table, and the mechanism was happening on the small table too. So that was a progress already. After that small table, they moved to the baskets. Simple, light, cheaper. So only that was 2 evolutions already. From the large table to the small table to the basket. And then someone thought that the medium could write. Well, Kardec was there. He was supervising everything, if I can use that word, and he was happy to see the progress and the evolution of the mediumship mechanism of communication at that time. Am I right to say that? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Yes.
So Kardec was pro evolution. He was pro development of the mediumship as such. But I'm pretty sure at that time there were people really defending only the use of the large table. We always did like that. That's the safest way as ever to receive a communication from the spirits, the large heavy table.
Yeah.
But the times continue to evolve. And nowadays, I think we continue evolving. Kardec, he did a wonderful job describing the types of mediumship he had contact with. Do you think only those mediumship exist nowadays? Or do you think mediumship is also evolving? Mediumship itself, the ability, the sensibility of the human being to be the go-between the spiritual world and the earthly beings. Yeah. Is it evolving? What do you think?
Sorry. Yeah, I think so. Well, we've got to think that we today are the future. You know, whatever that was said in the past as a thing of the evolution, the natural evolution, and the future. Their future is what we are and what we do today. And the interesting thing and the very good thing is that there is, from everything that was brought as the constitution, the nature of everything that is studied in Spiritism, and the biology of the incarnate spirits, and not only spiritual biology, but the physical biology from this perspective, and all the experiences that go with it are being studied individually by a number of great universities and scientists around the world, simply because first there was a hint, or there was a signal to look, this is worth watching, just as Kardec did. You know, other people are picking up from their studies and bringing science to meet spirituality, because it's got to a point when so there's no other way. There's no answer. You know, you can't be just on one end or the other end. They've got to meet. Mm-hmm. And this is what I see, and I think it's so. Ebony is absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And there are a number of very interesting people and associations of scholars trying to do precisely that.
Yeah. We just had a comment here from Marco Davis. according to the Medium's book, Allan Kardec philosophy spiritist book, said that half of human beings are mediums and another half are intuition. Everyone is a medium. Why we say everyone is a medium? It's because everyone has some degree of sensibility. And mediumship is sensibility. Some people have a higher degree of sensibility than others. So we all are indeed mediums. We may don't know that and may be afraid of it, but we are. Right? So
And just in addition of what we were talking just a minute ago, if we see this as an evolution scale, so who would back then have thought that, like, in the time that Kardec was here, we would be able to be typing in a small silver box and do marvelous texts and books out of just a, you know, not even a typing machine, but a computer. So thinking of these, I don't think there will be a limit for what can be achieved. Who can tell if in a few years from now we would be able to, I don't know, project a screen ourselves and see and show the other world to people. I don't know. I think just imagination, but you know, what would be the limit for, as it's so-called evolution, as we are just putting it here.
You touch on a point that I wanted to speak. Let's move my thoughts here. Let's speak about that now. And we know that some of the information received by Chico Xavier were quite advanced for our time, even today. But at the time when he received, for example, Astro City, 75 years ago-ish, there were things on the other side that we would not even contemplate on our side. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? And we are very happy, we clap hands when we say that in the spiritual world it's at least 50 years more advanced than we are. Fair enough. If only in the last 10 years we progressed from a flip phone to an iPhone or to smartphone, if you like, and as today we are here, and 10 years ago we could not be here, right? Imagine what would be available already on the other side. If it is available on the other side, it will eventually migrate to this side.
Yeah.
And saying that, how can I be against changes? How can I be against at least try something to be sure that works or do not work? Mm-hmm. And the point that I want to make is we know very little. We know very little about the spiritual world. We know very little about the full capacity of what is available on the other side, that eventually we will have access from this side. I am pretty sure that there's a lot of people that they don't feel comfortable using tablets, for example, using computers, and they really, really would prefer to go back to the turning table. Because human beings don't like to go away from the comfort zone. For more than one reason. First of all, as the word says, it's comfy I know how to turn the table, so I'm very confident with that. I don't want to try that silver box you said because I have no idea what is inside. I'm too old to try, right? And the other reason is to continue evolving as technology evolves, as mediumship evolves, or whatever. I need to study. I need to grab my backpack and go back to the school because what I knew before is still valid, but it's not enough to guarantee that I will be comfortable today.
Mm.
Then, in my opinion, I think it's the mix of both, right?
Yeah.
So, we have another one from Ebony. Let me share. Ebony, be prepared because you will soon be part of the Top to Talk as well. Spoiler alert, huh? So we also want to remember that the evolution of mediumship will also depend on us moralizing ourselves. Can you imagine the level of mediumship that exists on other planets where charity rules? Well, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. Because even today, despite the amount of information we already have from the spiritual world, giving examples of mediumship from the spiritual world, when we talk among friends within the Spiritism, so many people do not agree. Imagine talking about mediumship in different planets. So we have a problem, really, on everything we do, and Spiritism is no different. We want to believe in what we want to believe. We want to say, practice, and study what we are comfortable with. We sometimes miss the opportunity to challenge ourselves to a next level, to a different understanding, to a different knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually we have no choice, because if we don't follow the path of the future, we may be left behind. As many people, as I remember, the early, well, I'm not that old, but I remember when we start to have computers, and many people decide not to migrate to computers because they were scared. A lot of them lost their jobs. A lot of them, they had no choice. Maybe it took 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and they had to accept that computer was a reality. Otherwise, they would not do banking. They would not buy things. They could not have a flat screen TV because it's too modern, isn't it? What do you think about that, Faye? Faye and Pablo.
You just make me travel in time for a long time ago, and that's telling me how long we've been here. Yeah. I just remember that one of my very first, it was probably my very first job, I was just getting out of college. And my boss was an American businessman. And he asked me to make a phone call, to make a long distance phone call, direct phone call. And it was the kind of thing that we wouldn't need a telephone operator anymore. So I grew up with a telephone operator, and we would book a phone call and wait for, it used to be like that, believe me. In the 50s, 60s, that's how it was. But then it was the 70s. Well, can you make a direct phone call? I was terrified because I knew everything I had to do. I had the phone number. I knew who you wanted to talk to. I knew how to speak on the phone, but I was absolutely terrified to make the phone call, and I couldn't do it. Because, yes, technically, I know how it works. I know how it's meant to work. But what if they pick up on the other side? What am I going to say? And that's, what are you going to say if somebody picks it up on the other side? That's precisely what should happen. Yeah. So I take this. It was ridiculous at the time. It was comical, but then if it transposed that to other phases in life, doesn't it happen like that many times? When you know what it's about, you know what's supposed to be, you know what's involved, what the tools are, the techniques are, and then the question is, what if somebody picks it up? What if somebody else draws the line on the other side, the other end? What am I going to do? So the technology, the way of life changes, and we many times we think we can't cope with it because it's far too complicated. If I understand it, it's probably wrong, right?
Yeah.
If I think it's easy, it's probably wrong. It can't be that simple. Yeah.
Hey,
Can't be that easy to crack the code, is it?
Yeah, but no. It can't be that simple. If I say it's 2 and 2, 4, nah, what's the trick? Yeah, what's the catch?
You are describing a human being mechanism for changes,
Yeah.
right? And not too long ago, I was talking to my son. You know that. You know him.
Yeah.
And I was saying,
Lovely.
the system is binary, 0 or 1 for computers. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
And he was telling me, no, Dad, it's not like only like that anymore. That is something else. I said, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're only 16 years old, like. And he showed to me what a computer will be, exists already, but will be available to all of us very soon, where the binary code is not only what is there.
It's like Morse code.
Exactly.
We don't do Morse code anymore.
I think now we have a pretty good idea about what it was, what it is, and what could be the future, right? But now I'm going back to mediumship. And there are some mediumships that, through research, we found that have not been listed by Kardec at his time. For many reasons. Perhaps he thought it would be too much to add at that time. Perhaps they were not available in enough cases to build a theory for that particular mediumship. But recently, in 10 years now, we could find mediums that were having like an X-ray vision, kids, grown-ups, doctors. And I'm just going to mention only this one. And that is a work done by a center called La de Frei Luis by Paulo Sérgio Frutuoso, that I really love his presentations because I think there's a lot of insights. And I had a discussion with him before about that too. And how can I say to that kid that he's not seeing what he believes he sees after I spoke to our benefactors that confirmed what he was describing? And we did not know how to handle it. Simple as that. Because there was no record at the time. There was no book I could read, at least, to see how to handle that mediumship. And I'm talking about a kid that was 8 years old. Then we had a problem. We could not call Houston because Houston do not understand what we are talking about.
Problem.
Yes. So we had to figure out ourselves what to do. And more cases like that will happen. And then let's use this case because today we're talking about a young kid. I found another lady that had exactly the same. She was about 20 few years old. And there was another one that he's a doctor, and when he was watching like a person in front of him, he could see bones, veins, organs. So, what is the future?
Yeah.
We will have more and more mediums like that will help the medicine to evolve. Maybe.
Yeah, sounds exciting. But at the same time, as things evolve, and as more and more people have access to high advanced technology, don't you think it is likely that we will have people trying to present people with things that are not true just because they can make it happen, like special effects, and
Very good point. And we also had that every time in age. Because from Kardec time, there were a lot of people faking it. 100 years ago, same thing. Nowadays, same thing. But it was never enough to stop that knowledge, that information to come to us anyway. Well, we were talking about that earlier today, right? So you can kill one, you cannot kill hundreds at the same time. And even if you do kill hundreds at the same time and no one is left, the root of this knowledge is not here on earth. It's on the spiritual world. So eventually, this knowledge will migrate again to earth when the soil is better. So we may try to slow down, we may try to prevent, but if it's God's will happen. It will happen. Maybe not on our time, but it will happen. Right? But the way I see Pablo, things will start to work together. Science and spirituality. And we can see that nowadays already, because we have science, medicines, doctors, considering spirituality as something that exists. So it is a big change already. 100 years ago, they would send us to cuckoo land because they would think we're all crazy. Today, we also have crazy people on their side because they believe in us, and they start to spend time and money to do research. They are trying to find reasons behind. So I truly believe things will start to get more and more together.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you, both of you, would you like to have a glimpse of the future? What would you like to see in the future as mediumship? How do you see mediumship not as it is today? Remember that we start our conversation today asking what is mediumship for you today. Now I'm asking you, what is mediumship tomorrow? How do you see, with what you know today, with our environment, our electronic stuff, our knowledge today, how do you see mediumship tomorrow?
I have my my ideas. I see the mediumship as the understanding of what mediumship is evolving, probably, hopefully, at the same pace that the other expressions of knowledge as technology evolves, and to a point in which it's not only because knowing, reading about things is one thing, is great. Accepting it is another. Yeah. If like Dr. Nicolelli says, he managed to tell his patients, well, there is a clear and pure connection between your mind power, your brain, and the orders, the commands that you can give to rebuild synapses, to rebuild bits where the nerves were found a rupture, and regain a control. So it's not magic, it's not even a tool. The tool is here. So it's accepting it and learning how to make it work. So I see mediumship as a combination of a broader acceptance of what there is, of who we are, and how we can make an interface with the rest. Like, I see, I don't know which future is going to be, but I see mind-controlled, more organic equipment, for example. What we see in Star Wars, Star Trek, and all those things, that's not fantasy. As much as television wasn't exactly a fantasy in the 1930s when people were filming Flash Gordon. And they had television then. Yeah. So this is how I see this connection between accepting who we are and learning more about it to function better.
Pablo, she really wanted to make me feel old today. She mentioned Flash Gordon. My
Yes.
God. You have a punishment for that, right? But anyway, coming back to our subject, what do you think, Pablo, for this future?
I read a bit about future when I was trying to get prepared to be here, and I came across Leon Denis, who said that, not especially regarding mediumship, but regarding Spiritism, that Spiritism would be the future of religions, because what we could expect of the future is that religions would be more similar in the future. So it wouldn't matter, to be honest, if it would be A, B, or C, and that you would have to stick to the principles that would make you a citizen that seeks to do good. So when I looking through this lens, I would see mediumship as a bridge to put all of these abundance of beliefs and knowledge going through the same direction. Once people just accept the truth that is, we have our brothers, sisters, our friends on the other side, and that they are there as alive as we are. So that's how I see it.
Let me go back.
Add something.
Sure.
Just to get out of my past, is that what I mean to say is that all those things that were, some people called, the ones who wrote and translated those ideas as visionaries, many of them were beyond simple intuition. They had the belief in the spirituality, though of course they were not going to make films about spirits and such, but of what the human spirit could achieve and could produce, it could bring, if they had a higher connection and a higher moral connection to be who they were. So they were models of moral values. Yeah? That's what I meant.
Bear in mind that we do make movies about spirits nowadays too, huh?
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah. So, but let me go back now for the last comment from Ebony when she said, "Oh no, there's another one. Sorry, no, not the last one. One before is when we moralize ourselves, mediumship will be booming, right? We have to remember that mediumship is organic, it's physics, it's our body, right?
Yeah.
This is mediumship. We can explode the understanding of organic, going to perispirits and a few other things, but it's not the subject here today. But mediumship is organic. When we moralize ourselves, means we're going to have access to better information, to better knowledge, and then we'll be able to recognize our body better. Like a year ago, they found a gland no one knew exists, but because the equipment evolved, they were able to find a gland in the neck that they didn't know existed before. So as we move along, we'll know better who we really are physically. And as mediumship is tied to our physical body, then yes, we may be able to understand better how things work, how we can trick something a little bit better here or there, and then we may be able to use better this wonderful tool that we have, right? So let me see. Yeah, go on.
Can I divert the subject a bit? Because when I was getting ready for it, I got the theme that would be mediumship in the future, and I thought, we could talk about what would be mediumship in the future, and we could talk about mediumship and telling the future. So I read about, like, there are some questions in the spirits books, like the questions from 868 to 871 that they talk about that. So I don't know if it's appropriate, but maybe we could
It
just
is. Go on.
go on, because the question is, can the future be revealed to humans? And then for what purpose it is the future hidden from them? So I think it's a very rich subject, because I think at some point, who wouldn't like to know the future? Who wouldn't like to know what's going to happen? And who wouldn't like, oh, will I pass the test? Oh, will I succeed in that interview? Or, oh, will I be able to buy my house? Or will I win the lottery? Or, well, I think all these big and small questions, they are part of our everyday life. And I thought it is so clever how the spirits addressed this matter, to be honest, because they said that sometimes when it is for the good of that person, it is allowed for them to know the future, because it will correct something that would be wrong in their lives if they were unaware of what would happen if they kept on that path. On the other side, if everybody knew what would happen, they wouldn't give any credit to anything. They would just, oh, this is fate, it's going to happen, so I'm not going to do anything. And we know that God wants us to do, to make our own judgment of what is good and what is not, and what should be done, and to deal with the concepts of good and evil. So I think it's very clever, very consistent.
There is something that taking what you said, I want to mention something too. We accept very well that we only received the information that we can cope with. in different words, right? It's written there, right? So the spirits and the universe only allow us to have a knowledge that we can cope with in the right time. Otherwise, we do not have access to that level of information. Do you both agree with that?
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank
So,
you for that.
with that in mind,
Speak for myself. Yes.
with that in mind, everything that's available to us today, we received, we've been granted the right to have access to it. We may do not know to use it 100% yet, but we are in an evolution time that someone above look to us. Yeah, okay, give that little bit for them. They are ready to cope with that. They may be struggling in the beginning, but yeah, send send to Earth that little equipment, that little information, that little knowledge, because it's time to still the water a little bit. The water is too calm. Let's just stir the water a bit. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
No, I'm
go on.
just thinking of something else.
Okay, so what I want to say now is that in the very recent past, we started to use this technology we are using today, Zooms and Google Meet, or there are some competitors in the industry, right, with the same kind of service. But we started to use the tool that is available to us to have mediumship meetings.
Mm-hmm.
That will never replace a face-to-face meeting, right?
Yeah.
But in the absence of means to have a face-to-face meeting, I cannot say that does not work and is not safe,
There are.
because the practice is telling us otherwise, isn't it?
Yes. Well, it's like it's like that old little story of the man who was in a flood, having his house flooded, and offered all sorts of help on a boat and friends. And he says, "No, I'll be saved. I'll be saved." And in the end, he refused everything: the boats, the friends, the car, the helicopters. And when he, on the other side, he met the benefactors, he met Jesus, and said, "I prayed for you, and you never helped us, but I sent a helicopter." Yeah. So we are sent helicopters all the time, and we are being sent tools to be understood and to be used sensibly and properly, purposefully. And wouldn't it be a waste of opportunity to simply say, who are we to decide that is good, that is the only way, and everything else that man and humanity has conquered with the help of our benefactors, with years and years, hundreds of years of lives working towards that end, who are to
Mhm.
say, oh, no, this is not good enough. Why? Give me one reason with the.
Faye, Faye, I I could say many things, but I could not say things that are not true. And based in our experience, having more than one virtual mediumship meeting a week, and this is happening for more, let's say, for more than 1 year at least, to not steer too much the water. So it's happening.
It
It's
happens.
safe. is safe. We are helping. We are doing charity.
Yes.
And I think Spiritism says outside charity there's no way out, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to stay with the turning table, that's fine. That's fine. And if you want face-to-face meetings, great, perfect. But if you don't, why refuse technology, right? Let me say hi to Janet. I see you here now, Janet. Nice to have you on board. And this is what we have today as technology. What could be tomorrow? Because virtual mediumship meeting is happening already. That's not future. This is present. If you want to
But
use or not, it's up to you. Yeah,
if you allow me one thing, Guilherme and Pablo,
sure.
is that um, we work in it's a combination of things, one supporting the other. They're links supporting the other. And when we say, especially when we're talking of mediumship and technology, yeah, we're not just doing mediumship and technology. We have mediumship benefactors, a whole preparation and technology as a tool,
Mhm.
right? As much as a table was a tool only.
Mhm.
The medium is no one without the support of where everything comes from. So my question is, if I assume, if I accept, and I've decided to dedicate and to learn and to work as a medium, and there is technology, if I put the, let's say, a fear of the technology above all, above everything, what credit am I giving to the source of everything?
Mhm.
So am I telling my mentor, oh, I'm not sure? Am I with my mentors or not?
Mhm.
So I think that's the point of balance there.
Very
This
good
is my
point.
story.
No, very, very good point. And then, just to be clear, right? We work with the mentors, with the benefactors, with the spirits. We see the results. We are in favor of any tool that's available today, and we
Yeah,
are practicing charity. We are practicing charity. If you don't want to, so be it, right? But I am very sad to say that we are about to expire our time here. But before we finish, I would like to go to the last message of Ebony. Let me share with you.
she's on fire.
Yes, she don't know what she is doing. I will find her a lot of work. But for the future, I see mediumship playing a role in shifting Earth to becoming a regenerative planet. I think we will have more and more people being born with missions of mediumship to teach others. I think I could not end our program in a better way today. Because, yes, mediumship is that for me. If we do not create difficulties to the mediumship, to the mediums, to evolution, yes, I totally agree. This is the future. This is the future. Mediumship do not need to be complicated. We don't need to create boundaries. We don't need to create fences. We we do not have the right to create difficulties for the mediumship because we will be responsible for it. We will be responsible for it. It's the best I can say. We'll be responsible for it. So let's open our arms. Let's open our spirit centers. to this enormous amount of people that are knocking our doors every day with mediumship totally unbalanced. Mediums, spiritists as a whole, but mediums will have to study through the entire life and beyond.
Yeah.
But they don't need to do a university before they are granted the right to be helped. Because mediumship, or even better, mediums with unbalanced mediumship, they need help now. Otherwise, we know what could happen.
Yeah.
Right. So let's open our hearts to that invitation from heavens. Every time we receive someone that clearly has an unbalanced mediumship, let's help them. Let's learn with them. Let's not close a door in front of them. Because if we were in pain, if my son, my daughter, my loved one pain, I would be begging to be helped in a spirit center now, not in a couple of years. So if you are listening to what we are saying here now, reevaluate what you can do to use this body of knowledge that is the Spiritism. Is massive. Use what you know to help who are in need. Because you don't know tomorrow. And we are responsible for everything we do and we decide not to do. So now I would like to pass the word to Pablo and to Faye for your final words. Pablo?
Thank you once again. It was a really nice talk, and I think it's a subject that always will bring heat to any any conversation. And as always, I hope that this initiative brings help to whoever needs it. So thank you.
Faye?
Yeah, well, again, it's lovely talk, lovely being here with you and Ebony and everyone else who's been supporting us. And but I would corroborate everything that you guys said, and would like to add that, like anything else in life, like any job, any profession, any belief, and especially if something that we're going to use to help to do the charity, to relate to other people, it requires commitment and studying and a refinement. Any professional needs to study to refine this knowledge and sensitivity to be efficient. And mediums are not different. And
Indeed.
it's a great route to grace.
It is. I need to apologize. I could not find the slides. I am in a different environment today, and for some reason I could not find the slides at all. But we, as part of SSL, we have constant activities through the week. We have studies Tuesday, every Tuesday, 7 o'clock, we have the studies from the Gospel and the Spirit's book. Every 2 weeks, we have time to talk, like today. And the week we don't have time to talk, we have this study for Astral City. We have a wonderful conversation every Wednesday. And by the way, tomorrow will be very great too. And there's a wonderful topic tomorrow. We have the studies Saturday, Medium's book, every morning. 10:30. We have other activities. We also have presential. And if you are interested to know a little bit more about what we do, And even if you want to disagree with what we do, the only way to do it is if you participate at least once. So thanks a lot to all of you. And I would like to thank both of you, Pablo and Faye. And I'm looking forward to be here again with Rafael in 2 weeks' time. All right?
Right.
So, guys, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.